Hi, Paul.
Hello.
How are you?
Boston.
Good old Paul.
Cult hero, icon, St Andrews. How are you today?
Average. Bit like my career. I'm okay. Now I've been given a latte coffee this morning, which is very nice. I know, where's it from, everyone?
There are other retailers available for your coffee, caffeine needs. Obviously very famous down here. You had a career spanning...
Is that famous or infamous?
Yeah.
That's is it? Okay.
It's a fine line, isn't that?
Yeah, okay.
So you played 300 games across 16 years in your career in total. So if you take us back to the start, young lad off Castle Vale.
Yeah.
16 years old, starting coming on against Leeds United.
Yep.
How was that? How did that come about? What do you remember of it?
Well, started training here when I was 11, which I think is a good age. You know, I know the academies these days at 6 and 5s. And
do you think that's too early?
Crackers. Mental. Yeah, you don't need... Why do you need to train at a football club 4 days a week, age 6 and 7? And it's bizarre. But that's the way football is, unfortunately. 11, I started training. I was playing for 3 seasons off Chelmsford Wood. We had a fantastic team. Got scouted by Villa, Blues, Arsenal, Man City. Went to Villa. Went to Blues in a week. I was never going to go to Arsenal, Man City. It was too far away. But I preferred it at the Blues. Blues was very much my scene. Blues fan. I preferred the training, the family, the lads who all were training as well. I knew them as well. It was very small, much smaller than the Villa.
Around the areas.
Yeah, around the areas. Villa was, from everywhere. A lot bigger setup. And I just preferred, the training here. And the lads I was training with, it was my club. So it just escalated from there. It went from, I signed my schoolboy forms at 12. You weren't supposed to sign till you were 14, right? So I signed when I was 12, illegally. So that was put in the drawer. Yeah, and then I had the guarantee of a apprenticeship as well with that. So that, as you can imagine, my school life went to pot. Because I didn't really give a toss at school then. I'm going to be a footballer. I've got a job when I've left school. So when you go and see the careers advisor, what are you going to be then, Paul? What do you want to be? I'm going to be a footballer. And then this will laugh at you and, you better change tack there and get and think again because you're not. But it was always in my head that I was going to be. I was very driven. And, so that was it. I started playing for the... we used to train 1 day a week. Back then, we used to train at opposite Birmingham Central Mosque at Highgate. There's a AstroTurf pitch there, and we used to train every Thursday there. And it was good. It was very tough, but it was good. Played with a lot of players like the Ian Clarksons, Matthew Fox, who went to play for the club, Lee Sharp, ex-Man United and Leeds, England. He was with us as well. That's another story why he didn't get taken on. But it was...
It's when the academy was good then, wasn't it? Because it was quite prestigious back then, and then it got rid of, and then we lost it.
Well, the thing is, you knew back then that you had a chance, because we had no money as a club, you had a chance of making a first team debut pretty quickly, because we had no money, and that, for me, it come to fruition. Age 16, left school 15, and within 10 months, I was within the first team setup. I was a little kid from Stetchford then, always in trouble on the streets, causing trouble, messing around, to, being thrust into first team action. Which was crazy. I was doing really well in the youth team and reserve, so I was a forward back then. I was banging in the goals, left, right and centre. I was very cute with my back to goal. I was a fantastic player with my back to goal, a bit like the Teddy Sheringham mould in that little hole.
Yeah.
And that was my position. It was always been my position until the club decided to put me in midfield because no one could run, and they put me in midfield, and I was the best runner at the club. So I made my debut against Leeds on a Friday night here under the lights, and they had a really good team, Leeds, and I wasn't ready for it, physically or mentally. I was a little kid, I weighed nothing, but what do you do? Can't say to the manager, you know what, I'm really not ready for this. Gary Pendry, and Gary's a lovely guy, you know. He had no money to spend really, and it was very difficult times, not like it is today. Like our younger fans see all the, you know, the fireworks and the smoke and the, you know, the big name players coming here and the wages. It wasn't like that back then. It was tough, really, really tough. You had to fight for everything, you know, and we did.
Is that the old Division 3 as well? Or was that Division 2 then?
No, Division 2 I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. There were tough times, you know, but it was great grounding. You know, we're back to the academy systems now, and the players coming through, they don't do any jobs, or, you know, cleaning the boots, sweep the terraces. They used to do all that, do the kit, sweep the dressing rooms, clean the toilets, and it was a fantastic grounding. It made you realise what it was to be a professional footballer, where you needed to get what you need to get through. Who had gone before you? They've all done it.
Yeah.
Have gone before you to earn the right to be a footballer. You know, not just go out there and train well, but earn the right and understand the club and respect the club, respect the people that work for the club. You know, Tess, who worked in the kit room and done all the laundry, respect her, get to know people within the club and understand Birmingham City for what it was.
And who was in the dressing room then that you were kind of like, that's who I want to aspire to be, or some of the characters
back then it was, you had your Rob Hopkins, Julian Dix, players like when I was coming through. I mean, when I was 12 and the club won him before I signed, and they were desperate for me to sign because Villa were all over me and, as I say, a few other clubs. I used to come in and go on away trips with the team, with the first team, staying overnight hotels with them. Those were Howard Gale, Mike Harford, and players, you know, of that ilk, Pat Van der Nou, you know, when we were in the top division. So I used to go away with it and do the kit. So the club used to, like, you know, to sign for us, this is what it's going to be like. And, you know, no other player got that, I think, back then. You know, and I used to go away on all the trips with the first team, on the coach, overnight trips, lay all the kit out, do their boots for them. And it was amazing being around those type of players, because we had our own crazy gang. You know, you had your Wimbledon crazy gang, you know, well-documented fruitcakes, but we had our own. And for me to be around them, I was always, you know,
I feel like it rubbed off a little bit.
Mentally unstable, should we say, back then as well. And I wanted to, you know, emulate them. Wow, this is great. You know, our fan base is crazy. The team are crazy. I fit in here.
Yeah, feel right.
You know, I feel right at home here, you know, and it was great. But yeah, so that's what it was. That for me, I just wanted to be part of that. It wasn't about going to the Villa and, you know, and everything that they've got, the fantastic training ground. You know, Villa Park was very nice. You know, everything was beautiful down there, but when you come here and you walk out here, and it was rough. And that's my background on Castle Vale.
Spit and sawdust.
You know, I grew up on a 10th floor high-rise block of flats, and you had to fight for everything back then in those days, you know. It was rough. And this being at Birmingham City Football Club, that's what I felt at home, playing for the club.
It's a wild contrast, isn't it? Because nowadays, to get the young kids to sign, you got clubs buying houses for the parents.
Yeah,
yeah, that's the.
It's
incentive.
crazy. It's crazy. The game. Onto the game's changed. The people working within the game, the agents, it's nuts, and the amount of money and what the parents can get out of it. You know, if you've got parents there who struggle financially, and then you've got football clubs coming along and offering X, Y, Z, turning the kids' heads. It's not so much turning the kids' heads, it's turning the parents' heads. You know, and the parents will probably lean on their child to sign for a particular club because they're getting more money out of it, which is probably not right, which isn't right. But this is, you know, you can't, there's no denying the fact that that's they are facts.
And you're going back to that 5-6-year-old now, clubs try and monopolise, don't they? And just like, okay, let's have a look, and there's a whole rumour that if they see a good player, they'll sign him and his two mates who aren't as good, but it'll just get them into the fold and then get rid of them lads. And
yeah, they'll do anything to get a player. It's dog eat dog, and, you know, there's that much money involved in academy football.
Yeah, you're homegrown now for your PSR, and that's massive.
It's hard. You know, you need to get those players through the door. You know, we're competing with the Villa, with the Wolves, Albion, Coventry, all in this little area, Derby, Leicester. You know, you're competing with
convoluted
clubs.
Area, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, and Villa is well documented. I think they're following the Chelsea model at the moment, you know, a Man City model. And getting that many through the door, loaning them out. You know, when they sign pros, you probably never hear of them. Then they're going to play for Villa, but they'll get money for them. And it was back into the club. For PSR and that, you know, and that's what they're doing, you know, and I think we're playing catch up, you know, and it's going to take a hell of a long time for us to catch them up.
Yeah,
you know, they're miles ahead of us in that department.
Yeah. So let's go to 1995. You probably don't talk about this.
No,
The Auto Windscreen Final.
yes.
First ever silver goal, wasn't it? Was it
Golden
first,
goal.
wasn't it? Golden goal.
Golden goal. A golden goal at Wembley.
Golden goal at Wembley.
I scored the winner here in the quarter final against Swansea here as well. So that competition was, well, that season as well. I scored some important goals. You know, I scored the goal here against Swansea in the quarterfinals, the winner, obviously, in the final at Wembley, and the goal to get us promoted 2 weeks later at Huddersfield from 1 yard. But they all count.
Okay.
Don't draw pictures on the scorecard.
Sorry?
You don't draw pictures on the scorecard, do you? You just see the.
You know, so it's.
But you were unreal that season. I remember you were flying, weren't you?
I don't know about flying. I think what it was with the manager, with Baz, I found someone equally as mad as me. You know, and Baz, I don't think anyone's got a bad word to say, but you will find players who couldn't take him, like the proper pros at the club who, like, everything was straight down the line. I get it, you know, but for me, a lot of the other players at the club, it was just...
It feels like he just let you off your leash and just like...
Yeah, he was crackers. It was a joy to come into training. You know, I know people might be listening to this and going, well, you should be getting paid to play football. I'd love to play football, but it's not about playing football every day. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's not about playing five-a-side. You don't do that every day. It's a job at the end of the day, and your knees are aching, you're having injections to train and to get through sessions, and it's horrible at certain stages. And especially like me, I didn't earn a lot of money out of the game. I was never on big money. You know, but when Baz come into the club, it just gave us all, you know, that impetus to go do that little bit more because of who he was. And even if he didn't have you in the team, he would treat you accordingly. He would treat you as though you were. You know, he was always...
So he kept all 147...
Well, you were meeting new people every day, weren't you?
Baz was just...
That was just the squad.
Baz was never turned down a player. He was mad.
So what was it? Was it 30 players in a month or something at the turnaround?
It's mad. I mean, it's well documented. I've said it before. We were training. We never had a training ground, so we were here, there, and everywhere, which was mad enough. You know, the West Midlands travel, Sedgemoor and Yardley and Sheldon. We would go everywhere just to train. You know, and for me, if you're a proper pro and, like, you know, you go, well, we need a training ground. But to me, I'm from the streets, really. I don't give a shit. I was like, we'll go anywhere. We'll just do what we want to do. And this is great. This was great. But Baz was just crazy bringing players into the football club. I mean, we had a guy. We were training at West Midlands Travel, and we had 49 pros. You imagine that? It was just mad. We had 2 reserve teams. It was just crackers. And to get into the first team, you know how hard it was to get in the first team? It was mad. So Baz was just there was this little guy standing there, and he had a ponytail, and he had a white t-shirt on, black shorts, a pair of mad football boots I've never seen before, and, like, you know, suit socks if you're wearing a suit, black pair of suit socks. I'm looking at him thinking, this geezer. So I walked up to him and just being nice. I was like, "Oh, pal, how are you?" And you know, "Who are you?" And that, "What club are you from? And are you on loan or trial or anything?" "No, I don't play for a club." "What are you doing here then?" "Oh, you know." He said, "Well, what it was, you know, you played so and so on Saturday. Forget the team." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I was your chef." "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I was your chef cooking your food at the hotel." "All right, and what are you doing here?" He said, "Well, I told Baz I could play a bit, and he's given me a trial." This geezer was about 5'2", like about 3 stone, and like, this Baz, this is what he did. You know what I mean? Just that gem. The same thing with Jose Dominguez. Little Jose, you know, when he made his when he had his trial at Smithswood School in Smithswood, at Castle, yeah. We all got in our cars here, and we said, "Right, we've got a practice game." "What? Where are we going?" "Smithswood." I said, "Smithswood?" "Oh, I was a drink over the Chelmsford and Smithswood, Toby Jug and all over there." I said, "Well, get over there. It's mental." And he said, all the lads were going, "What's it like?" I said, it's crackers." What we're going over there for, Baz?" "Well, it's the only pitch we could find. The playing fields at Smithswood, and it was all the kids are there at school watching."
It's not that one on the side of the road, is it? There's one on the...
I can't remember how it was. Yeah,
There's one on the side of the road, then, the main road.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so we got on there, Jose Dominguez, and this little guy turned up. I think Barry Siltman brought him, I think, the old agent. And I remember Baz standing on the side, and he got out his car, he come on the pitch, but Jose's only little, 5'5", something like that, bow legs. we're all looking like that, going, who's this? And this was it. This was the practice game was for him. He was our first team squad.
Not speak a word of English, are they?
I can't remember. He sunk a garlic because Jose used to like, I don't know if he cloves of garlic for breakfast or something, but he came on the pitch and he was unbelievable. I remember Roger Willis, the right back, used to play centre midfield for us. He could play anywhere, Roger, a bit of a utility player. He just tore him inside out. This guy, Jose, was just frightening. And that was it. Bad signed him. I think it's documented that they wouldn't pay for him, they wouldn't give him any money, but I think, when you saw him play, he was just incredible. You couldn't get the ball off him, his low sense of gravity, but that's where his trial was at Smithswood. Mad. Imagine doing that these days, telling all our players these days, right lads, right then Pake, we're up over Chelmsley. What for? Just have a little kick around. On the Bluebell field, just like, all the divots and everything, glass and dog shit everywhere. Yeah, just I'm going over there for an hour. The players wouldn't do it today. They just wouldn't do it.
Talking of defecation, tell us about the T-shirt then.
From the horse's mouth, because we've seen Baz a few times. We've obviously spoke to players in and around, but we've never heard it.
Yeah.
From the horse's mouth.
Yeah, I've spoken.
It was the last T-shirt in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, every time I say this, and people, it was just a weird thing. Tom Ross always says, I'm telling lies and it's absolute nonsense. It was all pre-planned, and nothing was pre-planned. Me pre-planned, I couldn't pre-plan anything back in those days. I was sandwich up a picnic. So the first thing we got into the dressing room. I won't tell you what happened before that on the way down, because kids might be listening. It was back in those days. You wore t-shirts under your socks, stop nipple rash. But you didn't wear lycra and all that. What they get these days,
all these sports bras,
and all they get all the nice clobber, don't they? Back then it was just a free for all. Get your pants, get your socks, get your shorts. You could be wearing extra large shorts, and me, I weighed like 10 stone or whatever it was, and I'd be like, wrapped around me 3 times. It was just, give me the kit, fighting to get kit. And lo and behold, there was one T-shirt left at the bottom of the kit bag. And I said to Richard, the kit man, got it out, and it was the top, honestly, it was small, really small. That's why no one had it. It was small, and me being a skinny little runt then, I said, what's this? He said, what is it? I showed him, went, I won't put that in there, the kit man. I said, well, and it had been worn, it weren't new. So someone had, how the hell it got in there, I don't know. He said, Tait, he said, I don't know where that is. I said, I don't know how it's got in there. It's not mine. I put that in. I went, well, I'll wear it. I said, it's nice, isn't it? I said, I'll put that on. And I had this feeling I was going to score. I scored in the quarterfinals, and I thought, I was scoring a few goals back then. And I was like, and lo and behold, it happened, didn't it? And I scored, put it on, scored, yeah. And then, yeah, honestly, and that's when all the problems arose for the rest of my life. When you run off, you jump over the hoardings, you celebrate with all the fans, rip it off and stand there with all the fans. I know that many people, as you know, I'm a massive Birmingham fan, and I mix with the fans. And it's not till you turn around, and then Wembley, there's just under 77,000 fans there, and all the cameras are there, then, aren't they? The photographers. So after about 15 or 20 seconds, you realise, oh God, I'm in trouble now. You bear in mind, I was always in trouble back in those days with the club. Or was it, this is your final warning? And I was Baz got hold of me straight away. What have you effing done now? Oh my God, cover that up. Oh my God, what have you done? Oh my God, what's on it? Oh my God, cover it up. Oh, you're in trouble now. And I was thinking, oh my God, so it should have been the best moment of my career.
You were flapping.
I was thinking, oh God, what's this ain't good. This isn't good.
It was bad, wasn't it, after?
Oh, nuts. I mean, as soon as I left the dressing room, maybe the guy from the Daily Mirror, David Harris or something, wouldn't leave me alone. All over me. It was not long after Eric Cantona had done that karate kick on the Crystal Palace fan. So footballers weren't, at the top of of everyone's wish list. Really, they wanted to clamp down on them, and me doing that is another, wrong thing. Yeah. So
Albeit a little bit different.
Sorry?
Albeit a little bit different to what Cantillard done.
Yeah, but it was going to upset a lot of people. I didn't think about that at the start, obviously.
Is the bit that followed after Shrub?
What's that?
Barry had said at his evening before about the meeting later on after. He thought you were going to get the tin tack.
Yeah, I was summoned. We went back to the Swallow Hotel in Waltham Abbey after for a get together with the owners and Sullivan, the Golds and Karen, and I was summoned to a little meeting with the owners. Yeah, and I just thought because I've been sent back from Millwall in disgrace on loan that season as well. So they let me loose in London, you see, and it wasn't a good thing letting me loose in London a few months earlier. And they've said this is your last warning. I was out of control, really. I was out of control. And there's me thinking I'm going to get the sack. I've scored the win. This is it now. And I went into the room and they said, I said, listen, I'm sorry, shut up. They said, God, you know what I mean? And they said, the T-shirt. I went, yeah. And I said, I'm sorry. And all that. Just be quiet. And where'd you get it from? And I said, it was just there. It's the story I've told. It was. I'm not lying about that. And I said, why are you asking? And they said, I'm thinking of selling them in the club shop. So we'll make an absolute fuss. And there's me thinking I'm going to get the sack. They're thinking poke. And I'm like, this is just mental. They're just as mad as me. Do you know what I mean? It's just mad. They're thinking about selling them in the club shop.
Finally able to relax and kind of enjoy.
And I was like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, that took the pressure off because all I could think of was, that's it. I'm done. Because I knew what quite quickly that I was in severe trouble. The press wouldn't leave me alone. Then all the death threats started coming in.
Yeah.
From Villa fans. Then I had to...
Because they knew where you lived as well, didn't they? I think I remember did you say it?
Yeah, a few of them did, yeah. I used to mix with a lot of their mob back in the day. And, so they were sending messages. They were fuming with me. They're a lot of them Villa youth lads and that. And I realised that, I've got to be really careful now. There's nothing I could do to apologise to a lot of the Villa lads who I knew. One half of the city were wetting themselves and loving it, and the other half wanted to kill me. So I was thinking, oh God, I like
cries though. It's a T-shirt.
It's a T-shirt, yeah, but you get it. You listen. If Jack Grealish would do it or Leandro would have done it, you could see our fans would have exactly the same. So listen, you do things in life which you got to take on the chin. Do you know what I mean? I upset a lot of people, and the fallout from it.
Can you imagine if that happened now in the internet era?
Yeah,
social media.
It'd be mental. But I did it. There's no getting away from it. But it was I had crazy people contacting me. I had proper loons sending me £5 towards my fine. I didn't know them, like Barnsley fans and things like that. And and this one said, he said, can you come up to my house in Barnsley with your T-shirt? He said, I've made this big paper mache thing. I've got all the lighting. I said, I want you to run full pelt through the paper mache and with your arms out like that. And said, and I'll pay you. But he sent me £5 like towards me fine, just proper loons. And I think, what have I done? Have I opened up this can of worms here? But every nutter was just contacting me. All the Villa fans were contacting me. I want an apology. You're a disgrace and all this. And so I sent them an apology, but I put a tea bag in every card I sent back or letter to have a drink on me. So that didn't go down well. The club didn't know that. They said I've got to apologise to all the fans and everything. But I put a tea bag in, little tea bag in there with them just to wind them up. And that didn't go down well. But
did you go to Barnsley?
No. But I obviously had to watch myself. It was you get a lot of people want to do things when you're out, and I was always on the town as well. So there's no getting away from that fact. I like to go out, and I had to really watch myself.
There's some good lads around you though, didn't you, as well?
Oh, of course. The people I mix with, from the, it's well documented that I used to get involved in certain things on the terraces and outside grounds and that.
Zulus-ish. Can we talk about that or not?
If you want,
It's quite well documented that you did hang around with some heads, didn't you, at the time? So
yeah.
You used to love going to the football and being a fan, and we touched upon it before we started rolling, that it's not the same anymore, that the culture's been taken away a little bit. It's a little bit NFL and stuff where it was go down, have a few beers and have a punch up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very much, coming from where I grew up, when I left the Vale, when I ended up in Stetchford, and I used to, it was a big Birmingham area, go from the Broadway down to Lee Village, Salcross, to Marston Green, and Lee all around there. I got to know a lot of lads, blues lads, and used to go to games, and, I got to know, for me, people who like getting involved in situations at football games, and then because of my background, it was made for me, so when I was playing, it meant so much to me, probably more than anyone else. Don't know how much it meant to the fans. It wasn't just about.
It felt like you understood what we wanted to see as a fan.
Yeah. That's why I was at the start when I said I fitted in so well to the psyche of the club, because it was so crazy. The fans were so crazy back then, and I was. That it meant so much to me, and I wanted to be with the fans. Who win, draw or lose, always on the booze, and no matter what, I would always be out. If I played well or we won, out. If you drew, if you lost, take it on the chin. You go out there and you face the flak. You can't just take it all the smooth. When you're doing well. So I'd be out. With the lads home and away, and when I went playing, I'd go away with the lads and get myself involved in situations. Looking back, it's not the right thing to do. I know that, but when I was younger, I got
a laugh.
There's I wouldn't say it was a laugh. It was reasons for it. Why the club, the fans, the Zulus, and that became part of my family. Really, the family that the belonging that I craved. And that's led on to my addictions and. The lunacy that entailed with that. But, I'm still in touch with everyone, but I don't go to the games anymore, for that. I'll go to watch the football with my daughter and that,
Tell us about, so when you were injured, when you were 19.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, and did that period kind of play into that? Did you find that things kicked up from there then?
Massive. Huge. I had a good upbringing, but a different upbringing. When my parents split up, and there's a lot of issues went on, and it really affected me massively. I know parents split up every day of the week, but it does affect kids. To me, it affected me massively, and my mental health. I wanted that belonging, and the club, the supporters were my belonging. I cared so much. I never wanted to leave. The club wanted me, I was doing well. A lot of clubs coming for me: Liverpool, Tottenham, Newcastle, the big clubs, Norwich, when they were very good back in the day. They were the top of the league. Wolves. There's loads of clubs, were coming. But the club then had done a deal with Tottenham, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. No, I was happy. I never earned any money out of the game. It wasn't about money. The club do always say they put a contract in front of me, I would have signed it. I did. I didn't even look at it. So how much it? Oh yeah. And when I come out of the game now, and I realise, God, all them players are on like 10 times on the same team as me. I'm 10 times more money than me.
Really?
Yeah. No, to me, it wasn't about money. It was about the club I love, I'm with the fans I love, and I want to play for the club. I don't give a toss about it. Now I've come out the game, I wish I'd have had more of a head on me,
Was you mindful as well when you went back to the whole Millwall thing, that in the smoke at Tottenham, that you might not be headspace to do it as well, or was you just like, I don't want to go for the Blues, or was that
I'll go back to 19. Let's go back to 19. What happened? Obviously the deal was done with Spurs. All I had to do was sign. Yeah, I knew how much money I was going to get, and to me it was astronomical figures for me compared to what I was on. Living in London, God knows, I'd have given myself 6 months down there. I'd have been dead. Knowing now what my psyche and God knows what I've got up to. I got injured. Orient, first tackle of the game, 13 seconds by John Sitton. The Orient guy does all the YouTube stuff, and and back then it was tough. He done me with a tackle. I could have done him. He's just one of them. He hurt me. And I was finished, I was stretchered off. I ruptured my posterior cruciate at the back, but I broke the tibial condyle of my knee, which is the joint. So it was shattered, very much like a car crash. So I was taken to a surgeon in Birmingham, They put me on the coach on the way back. They took me to the Rodin Hospital in East London, and they had a look at my leg. Well, what have you done now? And he said, who have you been playing? This specialist said. And I said, Orion. Said, I'll teach you to mess with us Londoners.
No.
And I'm on the bed screaming. Yeah, crackers it was. And I was like in agony. I'm in the damage. I was thinking, oh my God. So they took me to a hospital in, I think it was the Nuffield or the Priory in Birmingham. And the surgeon opened it up. There's so much damage. This is massive. And then I was taken by my agent at the time to David Dandy in Cambridge, who was the leading specialist at the time for knee injuries. Right. Opened up, had a look, did all the scans, MRIs, and he just had me and my parents down there. And he just said, the first word he said was, can you do anything else? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you won't play football, son. He said, you're finished. He said, you'll be lucky if you walk again properly. He said, the amount of damage you've got in that knee. He said, it's very reminiscent of a car crash. My mum just burst into tears and I'm just sat there going,
trying to process it.
Wow. I knew it was bad. It was battered. He was smashed a bit. So he said, I'm going to perform this operation to get you to walk again. And I went, okay. So he took bone from my hip, scraped it all off, put it in my knee, remoulded my knee to some resemblance of what it used to be, pins, bolts, and see you later, off you go, and come and see me in a few months. In that meantime, Dave Mackay got the sack. Lou Macari come in. Bearing in mind then I wasn't massively into alcohol. I'd have a drink, but I wasn't crazy. I wasn't into the drugs and everything. And this was my life. This is my club. And then I remember Lou Macari called me and my dad in to a meeting in the physio room. Bear in mind, I never met him. He'd just taken over. And he said, the reason I think you got injured, Paul, was because you drink too much. But I didn't drink too much then. I said, who said that? I said, I don't even know Lou Macari, by the way. I've never met him. I said, did you realise the club was selling me? I'd done a deal with Tottenham. What was very well thought of at the time as a new kid as a kid coming through in the country, really. And they packed me off to Lillishall, the rehabilitation centre where all players went, for 3 months, not a phone call from anyone at the club for 3 months. Bear in mind, I'd played first team football that season. Obviously got injured playing first team football. And I didn't hear anything. Nothing, not a word. Just packed me off. Off I went, staying from Monday to Friday on my own in a room, injured. Couldn't walk on crutches.
No club welfare officer phoning.
There was no welfare back in those days. They had nothing. I come back to the club to see the physio, to just check me over. Then back I went for 3 months. And in that meantime, Lou was only here 4 months, wasn't he, or something? Something like that. And he'd gone. And I never heard a thing. And I leaned onto the lad and Daft final. I think I played in the competition that season as well. And I didn't get an invite to the final. I'd buy my own ticket. It was nuts how I was treated.
Yeah, you said you'd scored some goals, hadn't you, on the way to the actual final as well?
It was so bizarre what had happened. And it really, that year out, I was out for 12, 13 months. And, at Lillishall, they, brilliant. The guys at Lillishall, the physios there were the top drawer. They were brilliant with me. And I was, a mix with a lot of ex-pros, from other clubs, like Ted McMinn was there and who come here. So, they took you under their wing, and it was nice being surrounded. But if it wasn't for them, I would have gone under probably. So that's when my addictions really started. I fell into going out all the time, into taking drugs. Alcohol was just became a massive part of my life. I thought, well, I'm never playing football again. The club don't want me. All I wanted was that belonging. And someone to put their arm around me and say, listen, everything's going to be all right, but I never had that. And I went from being a first team player to being a mental wreck, shall I say. I think the club wanted the insurance money for me, I think, back then.
I was going to say, I've read that. Kumars wanted to write me off.
They wanted to write me off, and get some whatever they could get, whatever insurance they had for me. God knows what it was, couldn't have been a lot. But, so it killed me, really, and that's when, I'd say that's when my real addictions to alcohol and drugs started. I was mixing with some really heavy people back then, you know, from
Was that constant arm ranger, point in front of you, or a little bit of the other end?
It was a drinking culture back then,
It was a drinking culture, yeah. It was a drinking culture, I get that. And it's well documented, any club you speak, it was a drinking culture. But for me, I went from drinking, but not too much. You know, I was a great trainer, I'd run all day long, you know, to going from drinking a few pints to drinking loads to taking any drug going. And I'd have any drug going to get through that. The pain of an injury to being disregarded by the clubs, of being thrown on the scrap heap, to this is my family. You know, as I was alluding to the fact that my mum and dad split up, and it destroyed me, if I'm honest with you. And you know, I won't go too much into that, but you know, had some bad things happen to me. Yeah, so with the club turning the back on me, I fell massively into bizarre things. You know, the things I got up to, and the people I was mixing with were heavy hitters, you know, from across the city.
Did it come to a point then when you were just like, okay, enough's enough, or was it just the opportunities then to get fit again, and you kind of went in?
I started to get fitter, and when Lou left, Terry Cooper took over with it, and he was honestly, what a man.
Yeah,
lovely, brilliant man manager, and that's what I needed. I need someone to give me a kick up the arse, or to put their arm around me as well. You know, I needed that. I needed that family thing. I needed that. Someone who understood me, because I wasn't corpus mentis. I was very, very difficult, but because of my background, you know, because of my early childhood experiences, which were never resolved. Terry would just love. I can't so well with Terry and his wife Rose. You know, I owe him so much. And he just said, like, listen, what's going on? You know, we're going to support you. And they supported me. They worked so hard with him with injury. Bear in mind, you know, the likelihood of me coming back was probably 70-30 that I wasn't. But I was in my head, I wouldn't give in. I think why I wouldn't give in as well, because I didn't weigh much. I didn't have much weight going through my knee. I wasn't a big lad. So it was in my head, I ain't giving in. I'm never going to give in. I'm gonna come back. I remember I got to a point where I was running, and I thought, okay, and you know, and then the final decision was we were playing. They arranged the game for me at Wast Hills, the training ground, against Bristol City, and they said, this is it. If you get through this, you've got a great chance of prolonging, of coming back at a level. If you don't, we don't know if your leg's just gonna it's going to disintegrate with a tackle, because I hadn't really tackled up to them because they were too scared, because the bone had to mould and all the pins and bolts in there.
You're waiting for that first contact.
You can imagine, can't you? I'm going into this game, there's loads of people watching around the pitch, staff and everything, and players thinking, well, you know, probably hated me, thinking, I'm hoping that his knee's going to explode, some of them. So, yeah, so because I was a bit crazy back then, I flew into the first tackle. You know, I flew into it, and it withstood. But I went in with my stud showing. Yeah, I would never, you know, like a...
Yeah, you're not easy.
I went in with my stud showing. I weren't just going to go in over a little block.
Let's test it
out properly. And I went in, and it was fine. And I could hear the gasp from everyone, because it was that hard to tackle. And I went...
Was it like or not?
I don't know, can't remember. But I scored in the game. We lost 2-1. And I got through it. I actually got through the game, and it was... The relief was... I can't tell you. But you know when you don't feel the same.
Yeah.
Your knee's not the same. I'm not the same player that I was before.
Do you feel that in pace or stamina or...?
Yeah, I was quite nippy. You know, I could see things, but then I'd lost that, and I couldn't do certain things. Although I got through the games... And people said, oh, you were fantastic at this and fantastic at that. In my mind, I was not the same. I was just getting through. I was thinking, well, it's going to explode. I've got that much damage to my knee, the bone.
I imagine ideally it's like...
And the bone, I could feel the pins at the side of my knee sticking out. It was because I was like a bionic man, really. It was just like battered. But how I got through, I don't know. To this day, and even the surgeon, David Dandy, when our physios used to take players down there, he used to always ask about me. If I ask about that player you brought, Mr. Tait and all that, how is he? And he couldn't believe, he was one of the leading surgeons at the time back in the day, that I'd got through it. He said, I cannot believe that lad is still playing football, he even got to anywhere near it. because of all the damage. But I don't know. I got through it. I don't know if it was a luck, but it was my desire. You know, I'm a fighter, and I'm not going to give in. You know, I'm going to get through this, and I got through it. You know, and I was so lucky, but I was never the same. You know, I carried on playing in the first team, but there was always a back of mind. You're not the same. You know, you're not the same. You can't do certain things, Paul. You know, you can't do certain things. But I got through it, and I got more contracts, and and I played for another 13 years after, which I was so lucky. So lucky, you know. Like I'll thank everyone for the people who gave me the support. The surgeon at the time, what a job he did for me. You know, the people around me at the club, and your likes of Neil McDiarmid and people like that who were fantastic with me when he come into the club. Got me, Baz, Terry Cooper. Yeah, but there's certain people at the club back then, like Lou Macari and that, who just wrote me off, and off you go. And to pack someone who wasn't mentally stable for 3 months on their own in a room, oh God, it was tough. It was tough, really tough. And then watching the club go to Wembley and things like that, and not getting invited, bearing in mind as part of the squad, buying your own tickets for the game. I went down with all the lads from the Glebe in Stetchford, and I was at Trafalgar Square in the fountain and all that. It was crazy times, you know. But and watching the lads win as well, I was so glad we won. I just wanted us to win, but not being part of it, not being around it.
And again, if you're fragile as well, then that's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. I was, you know.
You look at the contrast with that. When we played Arsenal, he had Cesc Fabregas arranged to go up and get the trophy, didn't they, before the actual final?
Yeah.
It's a different time, though, isn't it? It's a different.
It's different times and different
managers.
Different managers, people. It was just totally different back then, and I've got a lot of animosity towards what certain people at the club did to me. So it's not the club. You know, it's not Birmingham City, it's the people working within the club. You know, so if you've got to differentiate, and that's why I find it hard to differentiate. I've got a lot when Grange speaks about the club. You've got to say, hold on a minute, it's not Birmingham City, the club. It's not the fans, it's not the club, it's people working for the club. So it's different. You've got gripes with certain people, and that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's easy to look at it as support and think, why are they not coming down? And Grange come down at the weekend and stuff, and you got a good ovation for it. And I think due to some of the clips that have been out recently, some of ours and stuff as well, people are realising what? Do you know what I mean? The heartache that it brings, that you're like, well, I don't want to come down the Blues anymore because it just brings back all those feelings.
Yeah, and it's like that, you know, like Grange is right, and there's other players like that as well. You know, which fans don't know about. Fans all fancy is you're on the pitch, what you're training, and you're earning X amount of money, and you should be doing this and you should be doing that. But at the end of the day, we're all human. And, you know, a lot of us are from working class backgrounds, from council house estates. And I always say, there's no difference to me or you. I'm a Birmingham fan like you are, and I just played football. I was just probably better at football than you, allegedly. So,
definitely.
That's all it is. You know, there's no airs or graces.
And like that's the old adage at the moment, isn't it? That people are like, well, he's on 40, 50 grand a week, 100 grand a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And Mbappe is a thing at the moment, isn't it? That he's saying it's
was
tough.
We're asking the other day, weren't it? Chelsea were asking Disassi and Sterling, they're nowhere near the squad. How do you feel for them? So, well, my dad's a fisherman, he's 75 years old, he works 12 hours a day. That's hard.
Yeah.
But that's a completely different thing,
got
isn't it?
castigated for that, didn't he? That you can't really still say that, can you?
But he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Because he's old school, isn't he? But it's frowned upon now to be like, well, they are young men who are being similar situation, isn't it? To what that's what happened to you. Like,
it's just been cast out of the team and no one's talking to him. It's not. Doesn't matter how much money
you got a bit of PFA and stuff. This
what
you was doing and stuff and people who can go and speak to.
No, you have. Back in the day, you had no one. You just had to get on with it.
So just again, not to hinge too much on the negativity and those things, but we were talking before, weren't we, about the testimonial? Yeah. Obviously, with Granger being down here, and we were talking about his last week, and then you were sharing about your proposed testimonial. What happened with that?
Crazy. I mean, as I said before, the contract talks and everything, they said, well, we'll offer you this, and you got we'd like to offer you a testimonial. Been here since you were 12, and that's all I ever wanted. I was like, oh my God, wow, he's just done so happy. I'll sign anything. And I signed. And then when you go through the process of trying to get a game, like Grange, you run into obstacles, big time. Well, I mean, the date they give me was, I think it was 1998, 2 days after the World Cup final. Was it in France, 98?
Yeah,
Can't remember.
Like that, yeah.
And I said, well, can I get a team then? I said, all the teams all the top players are away for a fortnight after. I ain't going to get a team or players to come, clubs are going to come here. Well, that's the date you got. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm not going to get a game. And then they said, you've got to give us X, you've got to pay for the toilet rolls, you've got to pay for the stewards, you've got to pay for this, you've got to pay for that. But they don't tell you this when you sign the contract. Very, very naive, I was. And you suddenly realise that actually this ain't going to happen. This game, for it to get on, it's just not going to happen.
What just about the flyers and stuff as well?
Yeah, so I had, so like you're thinking, I had a golf day. The club wouldn't advertise anything for me. Like I had a dinner in a Birmingham City Centre in the Burlington Hotel. Lovely hotel. It was called the Three Amigos with Barry Fry, Ron Atkinson and John Sillett. And I had a comedian, Terry Alderton, who was on EastEnders. It was great. It's going to be a great night, 350 people and all that. So I said to the club, can I put some in the programme? Can I do anything in the boxes or, put my flyers out? No, you can't do anything. I'm not doing anything for you. What? I said, what do you mean? I said, why not? Why not? And I wouldn't say no, wouldn't say anything. So what I did during the game, I would go around all the boxes and introduce myself and said, listen, this is my fly for my testimonial dinner, would you be interested, and all that. Introduce myself.
People are like,
but I did though. I went round and went every single box.
Like people like, you don't need to introduce.
Every single box I went round,
yeah,
and handed out my flyers, introduced myself. It'd be great if you could make it to support my dinner. Wow. Blah blah blah. Because everything's got to be paid for. Baz wants his poke, and they all, Baz would do nothing for nothing. You know what I mean? Even though he's my manager, Taity, give me that cash. You know what I mean? All right, Baz. So enough, he's got a swimming pool in his house, and I ain't. And yeah, so it was just mad. I couldn't get anything. And Trevor was the manager then, and I was like, oh my God, this is murder. But we had a great night. It was sold out at the Burlington Hotel, and it was a brilliant night. It was brilliantly supported. I was so made up. Any money I made from it, my agent had, and ended up in a drug den in Handsworth with it. So, unbeknown to me, he was he knew a load of the, I won't mention the name, but there's two big gangs in Birmingham. He was with one of them. And all my dough was over there, so I had to go and threaten him and to get me dough. And
not ended in a Handsworth drug den trying to get your money back.
Well, I didn't go over there. I would have been shot, wouldn't I? So it was just mad. And so it could only happen to me, couldn't it? Whatever money I'd made from it, it would suddenly disappeared. And he was over with very, very dangerous people. And I was thinking, well, I've got to get it back, so I ain't letting it go. I've got to stand on and have it. And I got it back in the end. We found out we lived in that now. Yeah, got it back.
So touching upon it, so who's your favourite manager? So I know Terry Cooper and Barry Fry.
It's different people.
I know Trev wasn't up there.
Trev knew the game, and I suppose you want to speak about Trev in a bit, but Trev was not my cup of tea. Yeah. But Terry Cooper was such a nice man. Knew football, knew the game inside out.
Well, he was a class player.
Really, man manager, lovely guy. Got the team playing well. Baz was great because it was just, you could not like Baz really. I got on with Baz so well that we just clicked. He'd slaughter me in games, you skinny beast. He'd absolutely rinse me. And then I'd just say the same to him, you fat little... And that's the relationship we had, like a father-son relationship. It was crazy. But we got on so well. And I love playing for him. I can't remember any tactics we ever had or anything. When you speak to former players.
Was there any tactical names?
Score more than the other team, I think it was. I think with Baz, I can't ever remember us sitting down and going through how the opposition, the strengths of opposition, or they may have said, he's good at on the ball, we've got to be careful there. It was just go out and run your knackers off, be aggressive, and go and score some goals. And I think the teams that we had then when he was here, we did that. The players that we had playing, it was buzzing down here, wasn't it? It was the atmosphere.
Yeah.
A home and away, full of loons. It was just
Brilliant.
Crazy times. And but the rapport that we had, the players and the fans then, was just brilliant. There's something will never be repeated.
Yeah.
You know, you won't get your fans here now, your players now going into the Roost or the George after the game having the top lot we use because they can't social media get all that.
Yeah.
But we did, you know, the Moseley Arms, the Adam and Eve, all the Barcelona, everywhere. We'd be out with the fans after the games.
Who were the characters that you had? So you played with Mark Ward and stuff.
Yeah, Ward was a good friend of mine. I ruined his marriage. He got divorced because of me.
Expand on that.
No, I used to take him dinner to me.
We've seen him at Marijuana Riders.
He's just great class. But I seen him the other day at Euston Station. We stood next to each other and we didn't know it. And we were looking up at the board at our trains. I just looked. The little man standing right next to me. He's a great friend of mine. I used to take him. He used to have to get back to Liverpool on the train, didn't he? Taity, can you drop me back at New Street? And I used to do a little detour, take him to some of my drinking dens with Mark knew as well. And once Mark had a drink with me, he'd miss his train. And obviously his missus would be going off a nut. And he did that. God, for loads of Taity, she's going to divorce him. If I don't, honestly, I said, I should be all right. And then she did. She divorced him. Yeah. He had a mad relationship with her. I went up to Liverpool once and we went out for the night and we got back in about 5, 6 in the morning and she locked us out. And I said, where are we going to get in? He said, don't worry. And just picked up a slab, walked up to his front window, it was straight through the window, massive slab. And I was like, hands on my head, what are you doing? He said, it's all right, I do it every week. You know, just put a slab through his front window and that's how we can climb in through his window. It was all glass everywhere, he's just nuts. But Wardy was a very good friend of mine. This is Liam Daesh. What a captain, what a man, what a leader. You know,
that leads us into something else, doesn't it?
You don't mess around with that man. You know, so I spoke to him 2 days ago. I love him. I love that man.
Has he been asked to come down and do anything down the Blues?
He was here. He was academy manager, wasn't he? Last year, last September.
Because he on a match day and stuff. Yeah,
Liam's a leader. What a captain. Very much like a Roy Keane type person. Yeah.
So without incriminating anyone, tell us about Ancona.
Yeah.
So obviously that season you were talking about, I read one of your interviews, said that a lot of the games were won before in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Where you do certain things to opposition and...
Yeah, we used to get into them, yeah. We had a team then who liked to mix it a bit on and off the pitch. You know, we had big characters, a lot of leaders in the team. And they had little rats like me who would just do the dirty work for them, really. Who'd wind everyone up and then run behind the
grenading.
I'd run behind the bigger lads like that and stick my fingers up at the bigger boys from the other team. But yeah, we used to try and intimidate teams in the tunnel back then. You know, you can't do it now, obviously the cameras and everything. But then it was crazy. You know, it was crazy. And the Ancona thing, there was no love lost between the Italians and the English. Their manager, he was mental. Massimo Cacciatore's name. I was playing. Obviously, I was in midfield, and we were playing, and a lad did a tackle, and all he was coming late, and I grabbed him. You know, he was on the floor, and I just grabbed his shirt like, "What you doing?" Late tackle, and it's a bit of a set to him. Before you know it, I got a whack in the back of the head. I turned around. It was their manager on the pitch. He'd run on the pitch and hit me. And I was like, oh my God, there's a little fat geezer on the pitch attacking me. So then we knew then after that it was going to, it was going to go. You know, the tackles were flying and we won 1-0. You know, we won 1-0, we beat them 1-0. And we knew afterwards it was, potentially going to go off, And it did. We won.
You looked after yourselves?
You had to, yeah.
It was hostile, wasn't it?
Well, I'd read that you had Barry Fry jumping all over you and you accidentally broke the referee's finger, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was bad. The referee, because you had English refs go travel with you, and if we played here, they had Italian refs in lines, so they travelled with the team. Yeah, it was crazy. It was just like a free-for-all battle. Yeah, it was mad, and the ref was carrying on the steps. He had like big steps going up to the dressing room areas, but then it went like a massive big area. So you had all the Italians one area and had all the players here, and it was just it was.
You look like there's a look of glee on your face, like you was in your element.
Back then, yeah, because you knew you weren't going to get arrested, and you were fighting. And I might come across as donut. It was like it's Birmingham City,
yeah.
And for me, It wasn't just about, you having a fight, because, it was Birmingham City.
Did I think did it seem like they thought they could intimidate you?
Yeah, they're on home soil, and but they don't understand the players that we had within our team, our squad.
Who else was that? You, Daesh.
I think Big Kev were playing by Barnett. It was lads who could handle themselves, who wouldn't shirk. Yeah, and
Willis was probably in the.
Roger Willis, he was a nice kid, he wasn't.
Yeah, he's
like, big, we had lads who could handle themselves. Paul Harding, Dave Barnett was very tasty, And they just come off second. It was just one of them. You had to win, and we did. And you see the manager getting carted off then on a stretcher. All the police come with their machine guns and they pin you in your dressing room, trying to get your passports off you. But they were so racist, they were saying it's all the black lads. They wanted our black lads and David Howell's our coach. And in all due respect, they didn't do anything. They never. Certain individuals did more than others.
How did you all get out then with your passports? Obviously, it's documented that certain players, Daesh Johnson, shouldn't go back.
Yeah, they can't go back. We were there for ages, and we were under. The police were standing outside. We were under armed guard, in the dressing room area, thinking we're all gonna get nicked and blah blah blah. And they got us on a coach straight to the airport under blue lights. Our coach got attacked by their fans outside. Yeah, it was, and then we got back to Birmingham International, and then the news were there, ITN. I'd heard about it because their manager was stretchered off and, fractured cheekbone and damaged his eye socket and all this. This happens when you fall over. And
when you throw the first punch.
Well,
when you shoot someone in the back of the head.
No comment there. And it was crazy. It was really crazy times, and you knew then that the competition wasn't going to.
I was going to say that was the end of the Anglo Academy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was dodgy. Things could have happened further down the line then, but they were so racist towards our black players. Yeah, it was crazy. It was all we want the black players. We want him and him. It was, oh God, nuts. But like Liam and that, they can't go back. And apparently there's warrants out for their arrest in Italy. If they ever go back, they'll probably get nicked for it. So, so don't go back.
That's the legacy of the Anglo-Italian.
Yeah.
Right, so at what point do we, or do you kind of, so your career carries on. Obviously your addictions are kind of building. At what point where's your crossroad where enough's enough and then you move towards recovery? Was it a single moment or?
Not till nearly 10 years ago. I was an addict all through my career. I hid it from most people. I got caught by the club. I think Ricky Otto got caught with some weed in Hackney in East London, and in his car, police stopped him and got caught. So obviously got charged. Well, never got charged, but I think he got caution. So then the club had us in at the Sedgemere where we were training and just said, listen, if anyone's got issues, if anyone is taking drugs, we're going to do drug tests now.
Oh, was that what it was off the back of?
Yeah. And you come clean. If you're not clean and we catch you, you were going to sack you and all that. And obviously everyone looked at me like that, and I was like,
the whole room.
Yeah, and I come clean, and I went, listen, I've got an issue, or I've got problems. And they did tests on me. Fair play to Karen. If it wasn't for Karen, I know Karen gets a lot of bad press, but for me, she's she was great for me at that particular time. If it wasn't for her, I'd probably been dead then. She obviously they tested me, and I was a couple of substances that I got found to have in my system, and she said, "Listen, we're going to help you. We're going to put you in the Woodbourne Clinic, Priory in Edgbaston. It's like an addiction clinic, or for ailments and that." Okay, so every Monday morning I had to go for a drug test for about 18 months, and then on Thursdays I had to go for therapy with a crack counsellor, Mr. Khan. I didn't like him, so it only lasted about 3 weeks with him. And
was it hard being counselled at that time?
I just wouldn't want to speak to him. Listen, any addict will tell you, if you're not ready to stop, someone can give you 10 million quid. If you're not ready, you're not ready. You've got to hit rock bottom before you seek help, real help. If you're serious about stopping, there's no money in the world. There's nothing your wife, your kids can say to you. Nah. No. If you're an addict, you've really got to dig deep and hit rock bottom. Have the light bulb moment. You're going to go, jail, institutions, death. Which way you're going to go. And for me, Karen was absolutely magnificent for me. She really was. To sort it out. The clubs are going to help you. And then, every Monday I'd go into my little cubicle with the 2 nurses, one there, because I tried to put I had a little test tube of someone's wee. I was going to put in it because I'd been using. Well, caught again. And then after that, I'd do things like crash my car on the way there and things like that because I'd been using. And Karen said, Karen, I've had an accident and all that. All right, because I knew that the stuff would be out of my system the week after. But I was gone. I was addicted, I was addicted, and and I was, all my money was going on it. I wasn't on big money, don't forget. I wasn't on massive money at the club. I never was. I fell into with dealers, really heavy people. And, I owed a lot of money to people. How am I going to pay this? How am I going to pay that? I've got no money. So I'd be running out here on a Saturday thinking, oh my God, I hope we win today to get the win bonus because I owe, God, so-and-so this, I owe so-and-so that. My mortgage fell behind, with with everything I was spending and I didn't have any money. I was, oh God. And I got through everything with more drugs and alcohol. So in the end, it took over my life. And the situations I got was more dangerous. The people I was mixing with became more dangerous. I was getting a name on the town as it was a wrong un, and I was getting banned. I got a life ban off Broad Street and things like that. In the end, I was getting involved in things I shouldn't have been getting involved in, and that it just escalated. And then I was up in Scotland, and it was doing silly things up there, and so the addictions just totally took over my life, totally took over, and it went all through my career. And it was 10 years ago, February coming up, that I had the light bulb moment, which they say you have. And I thought I was going to die, and that was it. You had a choice. You've got a choice here, what you're going to do. And I was in tears, and it's just horrific. And you have to make that choice of you go down path A or path B. I chose the right path, at the moment. I'm on the right path, and I've been for nearly 10 years. But it was horrific, and all, people will look and say, no one forced you into taking drugs. No one did, no. But I didn't get up that day when I was 19, I was in and go, I've got a great idea. I'm going to be a drug addict. What an idea that is. I'm going to do every penny I've got in, I'm just going to go mental. And that's it. I was escaping things that, in my early childhood experiences, the trauma that I had as a kid, which I buried. And that's why I'm so I love working with youngsters now, that just because they are doing things which are irregular behaviour, you don't write them off. There's something going on for them that we need to help our youngsters. We need to help them, and even adults. When I actually come and said that I was an addict and I'm struggling on my Facebook thing, I had there was 18, I think it was, blues fans contact me straight away. I said, listen, I'm struggling. Can you help? I can't help them, but I can signpost them and say, listen, if you want me to. I went with some former players come to me. I took them to meetings and to fellowships to try and help them, but I knew they weren't ready. It was just a thing for their missus and that, to say, look, listen, I'm trying. But I knew, when you speak to people, you have to change your whole way of life. Your friends you've been knocking around with for 30 years, you've got to change. You can speak, but you've got to change your circles. You can't go in pubs. You're an alcoholic or drug, and you're going to go in a pub and mix with the same people. But what's going to happen? You're just digging a pin in yourself all the time. You've got to change. You've got to totally change your whole way of life. And it's so hard. It's so hard to change.
Is the support out there now?
For
ex-professionals?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. You know, you got the Sporting Chants, who are fantastic. You know, I'm still in therapy with them. Just finished my last lot of therapy with them. They're fantastic.
That's Tony Adams.
Tony Adams set it up. It doesn't have much to do with them now. It's escalated from that. But he set it up because of all the problems he had when he was a player, and there was nothing there. But, you know, I went through with them, and they're great for players, for sports people, you know, because there's so many people struggling. And it just because you play a sport and you're good at it and you're professional in the public eye doesn't mean you've got issues. All of us have got issues. It's just how we deal with them.
Well, the thing is, we've talked about this before, haven't we? And especially like the tragedy of Ricky Hatton last week as well.
Yeah.
Talk about how you go from the elation of being adored and being held up on a pedestal by 10, 20, 30,000 people
77,000 people
step away, and then you don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have boredom or issues as lay persons, but once you've lived at that level, how do you get then to kind of a Civvy Street level where your head doesn't fall?
It's a structure as well, you know, because when you're a footballer or a professional sports person, it's everything's structured, everything's done for you. You're like, you know what time you're training, you know what time you're eating, everything's there every single day for 15 years. It's like in the army, they struggle when they come out into Civvy Street, and they're like, what do I do now?
Prison, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird. You know, it's like when you when you come out the professional game, for the first month you might go to have a drink or whatever, you know, and think, oh God, what's all that about? You reflect, and then what do you do now? Now what do you do now? You might have a business going, you might have a few quid in the bit, but you know, I think there's 50% of marriages, professional sports people, footballers, they split up in the first 2 years because you go from a structure, money coming in, to no money coming in. If you haven't looked after it, you haven't got your head together, you've been struggling.
Your wife's feet and
24 hours on top.
You're under each other's feet, and what do you do? You know, it's not easy. You know, it's just life, but it's how you deal with it. It's difficult. You know, back to me, what I did, I carried on what I was doing when I was playing. You know, I still mixed with the lads. I went to all the games, you know, the lads, get involved in things, you know, and that's what I did until you know, I thought I was going to die. And
do you find then certain parts of those circles fall away when you do all of a sudden you don't want to be out doing
because I mean, for the first 3 years of me not when I made that decision, I didn't go down the game. You have to stop. You have to change your circles. You're on the end of the phone, your pals and that, which I still speak to, and I still see the lads, you know, the games. But you can't do it. You've you know, for my first 3 years, I took my dog and went and sat on a hill, this farmer's field by where I live, all weathers, 3 o'clock every Saturday till 5 o'clock, in all weathers, throwing the ball down the hill, dog back, and walk a bit, throw the ball, dog, bring it back, and get me into that psyche of this is your new life. You can't go down that football anymore, because that was a red rag for me. It was like, once I'm there with the lads, I'd be out 10 o'clock on a Saturday, a home game, and I wouldn't come back till Monday or something. You know, I'd end up in the most maddest places, you know, no money and just wrecked.
Everyone, circles then that everyone likes having Paul Tait with them. Yeah. Oh, look, we've got Paul Tait with us.
Whatever drugs I'd had, much alcohol I'd consumed, and, you know, I'd be in bits, and then I'd come back Monday, my wife, my kids, they'd see me, and it's awful. What you don't realise, it's very narcissistic, very selfish, as a life as an addict. You know, you're so selfish because you don't see the picture. You don't see, all you see is you. What can I get out of this? You don't care about anyone when you're an addict. You want to, but all you care about is where you're getting your next bit of gear from, you're getting your next pint from, who can buy you a pint, who can get you some gear. And, you know, my nose is completely wrecked from years of abuse. You know, and I'm sure there's parts of my body inside which are hanging by a thread. But, you know, over the last 10 years, I have really tried to focus a bit more on living better and helping people really as well. You know, or signposting them, and because there's so many people out there, you know, all of us are all struggling. It's just how we deal with things.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. You know, just how we deal with certain situations. Yeah, it's difficult.
So nearly 10 years, which is obviously an amazing achievement. So tell us now about what you're doing and how you're helping others. Let's say signposting people.
Yeah, well, I was working for the club for 3 years. I left in January with the academy, which was great. You know, working with the 21s and the 18s. You know, got a lot of enjoyment from that. But you know, fortunately, come to an end. But I've run Midland soccer coaching now for the last 20 years, and you know, I do that working with youngsters, coaching them football and taking them to clubs if they want to go to clubs. I'm not too keen, as I said before. You know, I think it's a bit way too early, but parents, it's the parents really pushing it, really. Yeah, and signposting people who require help, who would like help, really. It's difficult, as I said before. There's no quick fix to someone who's struggling. You have to understand what has happened here, and that's all my trauma-informed training comes into it. It's, you know, when I worked in schools, a couple of high schools for a couple of years, working in the pastoral departments, working with kids who are getting thrown out of class all the time. Your teachers haven't got the time to work and focus on these kids, because they're Ofsted and they've got results and they've got targets to it. So these kids who are really struggling at home, they come into school, may get shouted at by a teacher in the first 5 minutes, just been shouted at home, come from a real difficult background. The easiest thing to them to do is verbal back to the teacher, right, off to reflection for the rest of the day again, and then they'd come to me. I'd work with them and I'd really get to know them. It's not about the behaviour, it's about what's happened to them. Why are they exhibiting, all our kids exhibiting this behaviour in pastoral care, you know, and schools, if they're in trouble, the same kids? We really need to work on them, because all that's going to happen, they're going to get removed from the school, managed move into a PRU centre, and then the likelihood is they're going to offend when they leave school.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but the likelihood is.
And it's the start of a villain story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're like, I've been kicked out of the...
Yeah. I was that kid, you see. I got suspended from school regularly. You know, in the end, I didn't do any of my exams because the school couldn't handle me. I did really bad things at school. But I've always been a person that has never trusted authority. And teachers, I absolutely hated teachers, but I won't go into that now why I did. But it shaped me and all my behaviour, my regular behaviour, because of what happened to me at school, right? And that for the rest of my life has shaped me. Now, I told in therapy 10 years ago what had happened to me. I never told anyone what happened to me at school with a particular person. And it was a light bulb moment that, oh my God, this is all my behaviour at school with people in authority, with the police and everything. This is something I'd buried at the age of 9, and I never told anyone till I was 43 about what had happened to me at school. And it was like oh my God, it's opened up everything. I can understand why
monkey off your back then, and
why I was like this at school.
Yeah.
Why I was so anti-teachers. You know, something bad happened to me at school with the teacher, and how many more kids have got this going on? How many more kids are just bury stuff, just bury it, and it could go to school, or they go into life and it comes out. It's understanding what has happened to you, being frank and honest, and talking about it. And once it comes out, once you can talk freely about it, it's been my life-saving moment for me. When I said to my therapist what had happened, I never told my parents, never told anyone about what had happened to me, and it was such an astonishing thing that I can now, everything, like a jigsaw, when the jigsaws come together, slowly coming together. I'm still working, I've still got a lot of work to do, but it's coming together. You know, now I can reflect when things are going to happen. I can see, I can stop them happening. I can preempt my behaviour. You know, I can stop my anger. You know, now I don't drink, now I don't take drugs. Also, I was using the drugs, using the alcohol to mask over certain things, which I didn't know. You know, my injury, that wanted to be accepted by the club, that arm around me, you know, which I didn't get really. It's a massive, massive moment for me. And that's why I like working with youngsters. I'm not gonna give up working with our kids who are always in trouble. There's a reason for it. Don't just throw them away and say those are wrong. And there's a reason for that. Do you know what's happened to them? What's happened to these kids at home and at school, and what's happened? Something happening for them. You know, why are they offending age 12? What's happened to them? You know, let's work on them. Let's work on our kids. Don't just throw them into the gutter that are wrong. Because that was me.
It's the future of Brum as well, isn't it? That you're looking out for. It's the future of Birmingham and whatever the world, isn't it?
The easy thing to do is just to castigate someone for their behaviour and give up on them. It's easy, isn't it? Well, just get rid of them, let them go. But let's work with them. They're our future. Kids are our future.
That's close.
Yeah.
So finally, what kind of advice could you give to someone who's watching this who's like, okay, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to tackle demons or addictions, or I know you said that people need to realise. How can you advise someone to get there faster, to realise faster, or is it just sometimes down to the person? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for not any bit of advice, because it's not about advice. It's that person will know when they are 100% ready. I can't say to them, oh, go and do this, go and do that. They might not want that. They might not want to go into therapy. They might not want to talk about their past life experiences, which has shaped them unknowingly. They've probably buried loads of things that have happened to them. They don't want to talk about it, but they have to, for them to move forward. You have to.
If someone's watching this now and they go, actually, you know what, that if this resonates with someone, what do they do? Where do they go?
Therapy worked for me, but it costs money. To see a therapist on the NHS, there's like a 12-month waiting list, isn't there? You know, we need to invest more into that, into help people. There are people out there, therapists who probably won't have waiting lists, but it's getting the right therapists. You've got to find the right therapists. My wife's a fantastic therapist. I'm quite fortunate that if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be here either, you know, because I'm so fortunate having one on tap that just understands me and my crazy behaviour and crazy mannerisms. I am so lucky that I've got a wife who's so good and beautiful and takes me for who I am, and I'm so fortunate. But for people out there, just you've got to hang in there and just understand there's reasons for your behaviour, there's reasons for your addictions. You've got to seek help, but to me, you've got to find the right therapist. I can put you in touch with the right therapist. I know, my wife's got a fantastic network of therapists. I'm willing to help people. The last thing you want to do is like the Ricky Hattons, who people just can't carry on and 46 years of age and take their own lives. What do we do? It's life. It's not a nice thing, but it's always going to happen. It's always going to happen. There'll be another one in the next couple of months.
So statistically, it's the demographic of men between 40 and 55 is the highest percentile, isn't it?
Yeah, we are struggling. We're struggling. We're too scared to talk about our feelings.
So talk.
It's all right, you're talking, but really be open and really try and understand. You've got to dig deep to really want to get better. You've got to really pour your cards on the table. If you really want to get helped. It's a systemic problem. It's families, intergenerational trauma, hand me down. You don't even know it. You'll act like your mum or your dad, you'll do things, they will act like their parents did. And it's just a hand-me-down systemically, and you won't even know about it.
Catch-22 though, isn't it? Because it's how you become a blues fan as well.
Yeah, I suppose coming down here every week don't help, does it?
It's a correlation.
Right. It's okay at the moment.
That's why we're blues fans here, because we are. Your dad was, your granddad was. You're not meant to enjoy it, just get down there.
It's for all those people, it's okay at the moment. It's great, it's full houses and everything's happening, everything's going one way. You want to play in the 80s, in the late 80s, and support the club back then when times were hard, when there was 5,000-6,000 down here and football violence was crazy and it was freezing cold and the ground wasn't nice.
You smell pissing at the back of your leg.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was really difficult, but, it is what it is.
No, brilliant. Thanks for your time.
No problem, man.
Keep
Thank
right.
you.
No problem.
Thanks, mate.
No problem.